Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to stuff some rags inside of the throat on each end, just to keep some like debris and dirt and sand and whatnot from getting inside the carburetor. We're going to start by cleaning the outside of the carburetor, mostly around the pilot jet. So just use some gas in a bottle. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated area and got a fan on you. Preferably wear a respirator if you can. You know, stay safe. Wear goggles for sure, or safety glasses. Using just a nylon brush, I'm just going to brush around the pilot jet. Give it another spray just to try to rinse it off. And spray it out with a compressor. Okay, so now we want to remove the idle screw, which sets the idle of your bike. Try to remember where it was before you pull this out. It's just best to have that knowledge for when you're putting it back together. Then you want to pop the idle jet out with the screwdriver. Now we're going to remove the bolt with a 10mm. Pull off the carb bowl. Looks pretty clean, doesn't need to be cleaned. Now we're taking out the float. This is the float pin, just pushes out like so. Sometimes you need to force it if it's dirty and it's sticky, you just need to tap it out. The float itself will come out fairly easy. You'll see that pin there that's held there. Try to remember how that is. Try not to lose it, try not to drop it out. Just, you know, put it aside the way it is. Keep it where it is. So from here, we're going to remove the main jet. Just using a flathead screwdriver. Make sure you use one that fits. You don't want to strip this. And if you don't have one that fits, just file down the sides or grind down the sides and make it fit. This is a perfect screwdriver for this that I altered. Okay, there's your jet. Just put that off to the side. Sometimes the emulsion tube will drop out for you. Sometimes you gotta force it out. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So you can kind of see it just inside the very center of the throat there in the carburetor. Just use your flathead screwdriver, put it on top and push it through. Careful where it goes because sometimes it'll come flying. Just like that. Now that's called the emulsion tube. I like to call it the fuel flute because that's what it looks like. Little tiny flute. So now we're going to use some carb cleaner. Again, make sure you got safety glasses on. Make sure you're in a well-ventilated area with a fan on you. Preferably wear a respirator if you can. Just, you know, keep your lungs safe. Keep your health good. Right now we're just spraying through all the channels that fuel and air go through. Getting this as clean as we possibly can. Right there is the pilot jet hole. You can see the fuel coming out the other side. Right now I'm spraying into the fuel intake from the gas tank. Make sure it's on. I was spraying into it like a doofus. Spray it right out. And then these little channels in here need to be sprayed out clean too. Now careful not to use carb cleaner too much, and you know, don't let it sit on anything rubber or plastic because it will eat through it. It will melt it like nothing. I usually like to chase carb cleaner with gasoline afterwards, but we're doing a pretty quick one today, so I'm not too worried about it. Spray out all the channels with a compressor if you have it. Be careful where they're coming out, because you don't want to get that stuff on your face or in your eye. You might have to do this 2 or 3 times too, depending on how dirty your carburetor is. This is a very clean carburetor. I wish it was dirty. It would have been a better video, but I have what I have. So the bowl needs to be cleaned out too usually. This bowl is clean, so we're not going to worry about it. There's your main jet. So this is responsible for uh, basically the top third to three-quarter, or sorry, three-quarter to four-quarter of your throttle, the top end. That's what your fuel goes through. So if your bike is running poorly, top end, this is almost always the culprit. Now if it's really bad, just put it into a small glass jar and spray some carb cleaner on it and let it soak overnight or 24 hours or however long you think you need, and that'll fix it. Do not soak the pilot jet though, because it's made of plastic and it will ruin it. Okay, that's a good looking main jet. Now we're on to the emulsion tube, aka the fuel flute. Let's get some carb cleaner right down the tube. Spray it out. You can soak this one too, if you need to. And make sure you get all these little channels, all these little holes in the side. They have to be completely free of debris. Okay, this is your pilot jet. So this is when your bike is idling, it's going to be running off of this jet, and all the way up to 2/3 throttle. So get some carb cleaner in there, don't let it sit too long. There's 2 holes on the side, plug one hole with your finger and then blast into the other hole. And the air should be forced out the end. You can see it on my glove there. And that's good, that's what you want. You want that completely clean. If you're not sure if that's clean, plug one side of the hole, put a flashlight on the other hole, and just look through it. And if you can see the light shining through well, then you know you got it clean. So here we're putting the gasket for the carburetor bowl. Make sure that's properly seated. You don't want to have that seated incorrectly and then, have it pinch when you put the carburetor bowl on, so make sure it's in right. Put the emulsion tube in. It only goes one way, so I'm showing you now, not that way. That way. You can see the rings on the bottom to make it easier. Just like that. And there is your main jet. Stick that at the end. And that will force the emulsion tube into place, so don't worry about the emulsion tube. And do not tighten this down hard. You can watch what I do here. It's nice and soft, just a little tiny snug. You see that? No tighter than that. You do not want that to get stuck in there. Okay, so now it looks like we're putting the float back on. Let's make sure the float needle is in the channel. And clean the float needle too if you have to, but this is a fairly clean carburetor that I'm working on. Put the pin for the float in. It's hard to do this while looking through a camera. Make sure you actually get it through the little tube. See, I just missed there. You don't want to do that. There it is. Okay, make sure it functions right. It looks good. Now we're going to put the bowl back on the carb. And you're going to want the choke side towards you when you put this on. And you can see that second bolt has to be facing the choke side. And that's so it's easy access when it's on the bike. just like that. So just screw that down. Now, whenever you screw any of this stuff back together, do not use an impact like I just did right there. I'm really good with it, so I'm not worried about stripping anything, but do not use it. It's a risk, it's a hazard. So now I'm throwing the pilot jet back in. You cannot mess this up. It only goes in, well, it goes in both ways. You can spin it around 180, but it doesn't matter. As long as the flat sides are out and the rounded sides are, well, the way I'm showing you, it's fine. Make sure it's pushed down. I just took it out in the video just to spin it around to show you it's both ways, but, you know, commentary, right? So now put the idle screw back in. And the idle screw will push the pilot jet down a little bit, so that's what you want. And then pay attention to how far it goes in. You want it to be in the same spot it was when you took it off. I forgot to show you guys that before. I know where it goes, so I'm not too worried about it. And yeah, that's it. Clean carb.